Cooking for my Korean parents' first Nigerian food experience. For egusi soup, I cleaned tripes and cow skin thoroughly, then boiled with onion, garlic, stock cube, and salt. I used beef ribs and shank because mom's not into goat, adding onion, garlic, stock cubes. Many Nigerians seem to use Maggi brand, so I'm using it too, and salt. Let it sweat on low heat for 20 minutes, added water and boil. After the meat started to get tender, I took them out to grill them. This step is totally optional, but I wanted to add a little bit of smoky taste. This is smoked catfish, which I cleaned thoroughly and poured hot water, then cleaned out any insects and bones, broke the flesh into bite sizes. And this is dried stockfish, cleaned and boiled to soften, and I deboned and broke into bite sizes. It's interesting, Nigerians use a lot of dried fish just like Koreans do. I poured hot water on fermented locust beans, which adds umami flavor. I removed debris from crayfish and roasted them to remove fishy or bitter flavor, then ground it to make it into powder. I lightly roasted egusi, aka melon seeds, then grounded them. Added beef broth to make it into paste. Then I deseeded and removed stems of tatashi pepper, aka Romano bell peppers, which is slightly different from regular bell peppers. Same thing with Scotch bonnets, which is used a lot in Nigerian cooking. And cut onions into big chunks. Blended everything together to make a pepper mix. I preheated a good amount of palm oil, cooked chopped onions for 2 minutes, locust beans for 2 minutes, added crayfish, powder, pepper mix, stock cube, and salt. I let it simmer for 20 to 30 minutes, checking often so it doesn't burn, then added meats and cooked for 10 minutes. Added smoked fish, stockfish, added meat broth but not too much. Once it started boiling, added egusi paste and cooked on low-medium heat for at least 15 minutes because it's super important that egusi is fully cooked. Fresh ugu leaves are out of season, so I just poured hot water on frozen ugu leaves and cleaned thoroughly and added to the soup. Added a little bit of spinach just to give it a nice green color. For jollof rice, I cleaned chicken, added onion, garlic, ginger, thyme, Scotch bonnets, curry powder, stock cubes, salt, and water to make chicken stock. Poured oil over garlic, Scotch bonnet, Romano bell peppers, and onions and roasted at 400 degrees for 40 minutes. Blended roasted peppers, onions, and garlic and some fresh ginger together. Removed chicken to fry later and strained the stock. I stir-fried onions in oil, used a mix of Derica and Gino tomato paste, less Derica because it's sour. I fried tomato paste for a good 20 minutes, stirring frequently, then added curry powder, stock cube, white pepper, bay leaves, thyme, and salt. Then added roasted pepper mix, let it simmer for 45 minutes, checking frequently so it doesn't burn. I washed 4 cups of basmati rice thoroughly a few times and drained. Added to the pot, mixed everything well. Added about 2.5 cups of chicken stock, placed foil to prevent steam from escaping, and let it steam on low heat. After 20 minutes, I tasted it for saltiness, then added butter, onions, tomatoes, and steamed for another 20 minutes. Then I fried chicken. For suya, I marinated beef with oil, onion powder, garlic powder, stock cubes for an hour or more. Then I skewered beef. Oh yeah, you gotta soak skewers in water for a few hours ahead so they don't burn. I roasted kabashi nutmeg, ura, kanafuru, masoro, dried chili peppers, and alligator peppers. Then I blended kuli, the roasted spices, dried ginger, crayfish powder, stock cubes, sugar, and salt together to make suya seasoning, aka yaji. Sprayed the beef with oil, then coated them with the suya seasoning. Sprayed with oil again. I grilled them on medium heat, flipped, and grilled the other side. Now for akara, first washed black-eyed peas and went through them to make sure there are no stones and soaked in water overnight. Then I just pulsed 2-3 times in food processor just to separate the skin, and I kept rubbing them in water and removed the skins floating on top by pouring the water out. Repeated until I removed all skins like this. Then I blended until very smooth by adding water gradually until it reached thick pancake batter consistency. Then I whip them to incorporate air until it becomes very fluffy. I've dissolved stock cube in warm water, then added blended Scotch bonnet onions, stock cube water, and salt. Then mix them quickly. Added the bean batter with a spoon in hot oil. If they float, it means it's a success. Fried until golden brown. You gotta add salt just before frying for fluffy texture. Then I made a quick pepper sauce by frying onion in palm oil, adding blended Scotch bonnet and onion, and seasoned with crayfish and salt. For Ìyàn, which is pounded yam, I peeled and cut African yam and washed them a few times, then boil them until soft. I pounded them while gradually adding the hot yam liquid until they got stretchy.
Oh, I am starting to dance.
Then I put them in a cling wrap to shape and store. Cooking all these dishes was definitely not easy, but I loved exploring beautiful Nigerian cuisine. Watch the next video to see how my Korean mom and dad enjoyed these.